Good morning, Mr. Elmore, staff and students. My name is James and I would like to draw your attention for just a moment to a charity that I'm supporting that raises awareness against family and domestic violence. The charity that I've had the great fortune of working with is called Small Steps for Hannah. This cause is dedicated to a woman named Hannah Clark and her 3 children who were victims of domestic violence. To give you a bit of insight into how severe domestic violence is, it is estimated that police across Australia deal with over 264,000 domestic violence matters each year, which is 1 person every 2 minutes. It is also estimated that 80% of women who have experienced violence from a current partner have never contacted the police, so we can't possibly know just how many men, women and children are suffering every day. Hannah Clark and her 3 children were victims of domestic violence. It is through the sad loss of her life and the lives of her children that the charity Small Steps for Hannah was born. I would like to now introduce Mr. Dave Kramer, close friend and CrossFit partner of Hannah, to talk more about her and the legacy that she has left. Please give him a warm Padua welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that welcome. First of all, as always, I like to acknowledge the traditional owners on the lands I get to do these events, our Turrbal and Yagara people here. I'm local to this area as well, or south side at the very least. I do that because what's important about the First Nations traditions and customs are those customs they use to create community and connection, ones that we can certainly learn from to create the kind of community and connection we hope to create that supports the safety and respect of all the people around us. And one thing that helps us do that, one thing that helps us connect as a community is story, and we've heard some stories today already. And so what I try to do is talk a little bit about them in ways that tell stories that helps us sort of get on board with a mission that supports the safety and respect of all of us, not just the people around us, but ourselves as well. To give you a bit of insight to Han and the kids, I knew all of them. I was friends with them, well, the kids not for 8 years, but I was friends with Han for a little over 8 years. She became my best friend in that time, and we did a lot of CrossFit. If any of you have heard of CrossFit, it's just fitness done, not done well in my world. So it's just a bit of fitness, a bit of throwing around weights and whatever. And Han was exceptionally good at it. She was very fit. She was very resilient. She was very tough. She was, in fact, fitter, tougher, and more resilient than I am, even to this day. And the 3 little ones, Aaliyah, Leanna, and Trey, they used to follow us around a lot in the workouts. They spent a lot of time with us, playing with skipping ropes, riding scooters, and playing tag. That was usually my warm-up when I went to the gym. Play tag with the kids, set up the weights, work out with Hen, carry the kids out to the car after the session. So we had a really, really close relationship, and since their passing, I've done a lot of work to understand why it happened and how it happened, and what we can do to prevent it from happening again. And part of that has been working on a school program, a program that we can deliver to young people to help them to understand what it looks like early and the steps they can take to support safety. I've heard some messages today around you becoming good men, men of care, men of compassion. And I think that's important, but what sits underneath that, what you need first before you can have care and compassion for others, is to have the capacity of care and compassion for yourself. If you don't first have that, you can't possibly give that to anyone else. So I want to ask, for anyone in here, all the young men in here, how many of you have ever, in your life, felt a feeling or an emotion? Raise your hand, please. Right. So how many of you who felt a feeling or emotion have felt really comfortable to talk about it? For the adults in the room, did you notice the difference in the hands being raised? How many were raised when those people were honest about their feelings and emotions, and how few were raised when they said they felt comfortable to talk about it? I think this is one of the most significant challenges we face as becoming good men, is that we feel like we're not able to share that stuff. We can't talk about it. And we don't think anyone would listen, and if they did, we wouldn't get the support we need. You'll get a lot of people who come to your school and say, stand up, speak out, challenge the problematic behaviors. And that's great. That's important. But for you, in your environment, in the world you're growing up in, at school, as a young man, in big groups of people who are doing things that don't look okay, it is very hard to be that person who stands out and says it's not okay. What I've heard more commonly from young men is that it is safer to do what everyone else is doing, even when you know it's wrong. And I understand that. It is very hard. And I saw that at a very pointy end of what we see in domestic violence, where I sat back and said, it's not safe to do something. Yet the outcome was still more unsafe than anything I could have done with Han and the kids. So I'm not going to tell you to do what feels unsafe to you, but what I am going to say is start to talk about those feelings that come up. When you witness something you're not sure about, or you don't know if it should happen, or you see things happening, seek out one of the people sitting in one of these seats, or your parents at home, or someone who you can talk to about those feelings. Because that's the only way we're going to get to a point where you actually feel safe enough to have a conversation with one of your mates who might be doing something that's not okay. I'm not going to take up too much more of your time. I want to reintroduce James back to talk through the handstand challenge, but I just want you to take away a message that if something doesn't feel right, to seek out an adult who you can talk to about it, and for the adults in the room to make that space safe for them to talk about it as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dave. In 2022, I was made aware of the charity Small Steps for Hannah by my mum, actually. I learnt through my research into the charity and into Hannah that she liked doing handstands, an activity the charity were using to raise awareness for domestic violence and coercive control in Hannah's name. I saw this as an opportunity to put my skills to the test and started doing 19-second handstands for 19 days. Today is day 8 of the handstand challenge, and what better way to log today's attempt than in the presence of David and in the whole Padua community. So here before you now, I'm going to record and tick off day 8 of the handstand challenge with David.
So I can't hold still for a handstand. I'm going to ask if everyone who's sitting in the front line here, if you can just shuffle behind that green line, and anyone who's sitting on these seats, if you can tuck your feet underneath the seat, I'm going to attempt to walk this way, if that's all right. On my hands.
Wasn't in the script, mate.
No, I didn't. That's great, though.
Good. Do you want to get them to clap as they do it?
Sorry?
Get the boys to clap as they do it, eh?
Oh, yeah.
Do you want the boys to clap as you do it? Yeah, well, let's do it, eh?
So we're doing 19 seconds, Peter. If you want to do the, if you want to do the last 10, I can press start, and you can do a countdown from 10.
All right. All right, boys, we're going for 19 seconds, I understand, and what we might do is we might do a clap down for the last 10 seconds. Can we do that, do you think? All right, I'll call you in. Let's go. Thanks, mate.
Just mention how you can. Okay, that's an outstanding effort from James and a great cause. I think we need to recognise that this is being done over a couple of years now, and some really good funds have already been raised. Mate, how much?
This year we have $570.
Yep.
But we're only up to day 8, so I hope we can get a bit more. Last year we got $2,050, I think, and the year before that we got $1,500.
Okay, first year 1,500, last year 2,050, aiming for that or more this year. It's just started and already up to $600. So we can put in the notices for you.
I've got a GoFundMe page, so I can put it in.
Good. It'll go on the Padua page, the GoFundMe page, if you can spare in a couple of dollars for such a great cause, and some really important messages for you boys today. So let's put our hands together for today. Well done. Good on you.